What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the 11th Hour Game Channel. My name is AJ Gels. How y'all doing? And it's time once more for the weekly show. Don't really have that big piece of news for you that I usually like to center the show around every week. This week, it's just a bunch of small stuff, you know, and we're getting to the end of the year. It's kind of going to be that way for the next while. Though I do have something interesting to close off the show. Apparently, Patrice Désilets made some interesting comments or some interesting claims about why his recent game is it Humankind Odyssey? I need to double check what the exact title is. I don't know. I don't know exactly how I feel about what he said. I could see where some people would say he's just butthurt. Some people would say no, what he actually claims is true. I'm not sure. I kind of want to talk it out. It's interesting. It's not necessarily news. It's just a kind of an interesting situation, in my opinion. But either way, we're going to start off with the news stuff today. I really don't have much else to say other than if you are new to the program, basically what we do, we sit here, we read video game articles. Usually, sometimes we'll watch videos. I don't have any videos for you guys this week, but that's the basic idea of the show. It's just a place to kind of sit and talk about the goings-on in the industry for that week. If I ever miss something, or you ever think that, hey, here's something interesting that you might have missed or whatever, send me a link in the comments, and I will be happy to take a look at it and, maybe do a standalone video somewhere in the week for that. Anything else other than that, timestamps and links to all the articles are down in the description, and I think that's about it. So without further ado, let's actually hop into our first bit of news here, and that is Cyberpunk 2077's mocapped sex scenes put the Steam in Steampunk, which I find odd, seeing that this isn't a steampunk game, but whatever makes your joke headlines work. Article by Jordan Gerblick. That is still a really fun name to say. But like I said, though, I mean, come on, this isn't a steampunk game. You could have come up with a better title. Where the fuck is my mouse? There you are. There you are, mouse. Let's see here. Cyberpunk 2077 sex scenes won't disappoint, as reportedly the first-person romancing will be motion captured. Developer CD Projekt Red is well known for their authentic representations of intimacy. That's about right. The Witcher 3 famously shot 16 hours of mocap sex scenes, and it'll be interesting to see how Cyberpunk 2077 makes use of technology and the most intimate first-person perspective. Well, I mean, I have a feeling it involves a lot of GoPros. But I still find it funny that The Witcher 3 shot 16 hours of motion-captured sex scenes. Some people would say that's gross. I would say that's dedication. But whatever. Speaking at a Q&A summarized on Reddit by a user called Shavad, via PC Gamer, CD Projekt touched on a wide variety of subjects regarding Cyberpunk 2077, including campaign length, which is actually the article we're going to get into next, story content, gameplay, and a bunch more. One of the topics that cropped up was animation, and the devs took time to ensure that, like Witcher 3, there will be plenty of motion-captured sex scenes. Reportedly, the developers figure the amount of motion-captured sex scenes should satisfy everyone. Their words, not mine. Sorry, I'm a child. You know I can't get through this and not laugh. Shavad says the news should appease fans worried that the studio would leave out sex scenes due to the first-person view. See, but haven't we seen shots of the game where actually we see our character in third person during some scenes? Maybe I'm remembering something different, or hoping that there's going to be sections of it that are in third person, kind of like what Fallout 4 did. Where, you know, at times, like in dialogue, that we actually get to see our character. I don't know. I'm hoping for something like that, just because that's the fun of customizing a character and their outfit and their facial features, you know, just their look, is only if you get to see the character. Because most first-person games are like, oh, it's going to be first-person. Okay, I'm going to make something that's kind of cool looking, but for the most part, I don't care what I look like, because I'm never going to see myself. Of course, this is yet to be confirmed by CD Projekt Red itself, so it takes news with a touch of salt. That said, CD Projekt Red's global community lead Markin Mamet, hopefully that's correct, replied to the Reddit post without any corrections, lending a fair bit of credibility to the report. So there you are, you get your first-person mocap sex scenes, but don't get too excited, as it's very unlikely Keanu Reeves will appear in any such scenes, as the character he's portraying is a digital ghost that basically only exists in your head. Oh, come on. This is Games Radar, right? So this is Games Radar. Okay, sorry, the Games Radar and GameSpot's color schemes are the same here. But come on, Gerblick. Just because he's a ghost, it doesn't mean they can't do anything with it. I mean, I don't know, you'd like mind fucking or something like that. That'd be funny. I mean, basically what I'm saying is, and I said this on Twitter, you're paying Keanu Reeves money to be in this game. Come on, go full bore, use him. Just like Death Stranding, keep showing Norman Reedus' ass. Of course, I mean, you spent all that money to get Norman Reedus, you scanned his butt, you might as well use it. Okay, after that, I'm sorry, I wanted to start with that because I thought it would be fun to start on something a little less serious. But let's actually move on to something that's actually more important about Cyberpunk 2077, and that is that Cyberpunk 2077 will be shorter but more replayable than The Witcher 3, which I find an interesting statement. Article Alyssa Mercante, also of Games Radar. Cyberpunk 2077's main story and major side quests will be, quote, a lot shorter than The Witcher 3, according to a Reddit user's account of a Q&A with the CD Projekt Red team. User Yushavad writes, that the developers believe the main story will be a lot shorter than The Witcher 3, but the game will have, quote, much higher replayability, end quote, than the developer's last blockbuster title. Despite this, the dev claims to have only added up the main storyline and major side quests, not, quote, all the encounters and smaller quests, end quote, which are currently unaccounted for. So as far as completionists go, the entire length of the game and how it compares to The Witcher 3 is still unknown. It's still entirely possible that a 100% run of Cyberpunk 2077 ends up being longer than The Witcher 3, not including those 2 massive DLCs, which I still feel like Cyberpunk's still going to get. I just with the way that CD Projekt has run its DLC in the past, I think that it's entirely possible that Cyberpunk gets something like it. The structure, of Cyberpunk 2077 side quests are a direct reason why the replayability is so high. Devs liken The Witcher 3's quest structure to, quote, a single line with a bunch of branches sticking out of it, end quote, while Cyberpunk 2077's, quote, branches grow more branches, which then often tie around each other, end quote. So one side quest can become another side quest, which will likely impact other side quests, and many of them tie into the main story, likely in much more complex ways than in The Witcher 3. This means that you could play through Cyberpunk 2077 and miss some of the extra branches while still completing the game. If that ain't replayable, I don't know what is. Okay, so the way that I'm reading this is that the amount of actual missions is shorter, but the way they intertwine and connect to each other is more complex, which is something that I think a lot of gamers have been wanting out of side quests, and this has been something that developers for years have been saying that they're trying to do, yet it always kind of ends up coming down into a very binary sort of choice, which is, do I go left or right, and that will shut off some doors and open up others, and which will lead us to another binary choice. That's really what a lot, it's the good and bad decision. A lot of games kind of do this, and maybe there's a third choice that's kind of in the middle, but like I said, it's mostly a binary choice. It's because it's the most simplest way to keep things straight in your brain, I guess from a development standpoint. Like I said, we've been seeing tons of games that have been, oh, you pick the path that you go and you do this. Well, really, there's 2 paths to go down, and it's I get to pick which one I like best. With the way this is sounding, there's going to be 5 to go down, and there's going to be this. Or if I decide to play a side mission this way, it's going to take me over here, and it's going to maybe go over here. It just seems like it's going to be a lot more, the way everything weaves together is going to be more complex. Now, how's the execution going to be on this? I don't know. I mean, look, I'll say this. I'll say this about it's not Cyberpunk, CD Projekt Red. If any company is going to be able to do it, it is going to be CD Projekt Red. I have complete faith in this developer, and like I said, if anyone's going to be able to do it, I'd say it'd be CD Projekt. Here's just the general ending stuff. Cyberpunk 2070 will drop on all the platforms April 16th, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, that's my take on Cyberpunk, and like I said, I like the idea of how the mission structure and everything's going to be, and I can't wait for the game. I absolutely can't. I actually might be more excited for this game than The Last of Us Part 2. And both of those I'm really pumped for. It depends on the day. My excitement for one or the other goes up, but I can't wait. Let's move on. Apparently new rumors surfaced around developer Rockstar Games. Apparently GTA and Red Dead developer Rockstar is working on a new open world game with a medieval setting. Article Robert Ramsey of Push Square. Again, please note, this is not news. This is reporting on a rumor that has recently sprung up. I cannot stress that enough. With how many rumors always pop up around Rockstar. I almost said CD Projekt Red. With how many rumors that pop up around Rockstar, always take everything with... This is interesting to speculate, but always note this is not actual, factually confirmed yet. Oh boy, where do we even start with this one? The particular rumor originally stems from a different rumor that was doing the rounds years ago. Following the launch of GTA 5, there was a lot of speculation that Rockstar was working on a new property, one with a medieval setting that was conveniently called Project Medieval. Obviously, nothing came of it, but said speculation was followed by yet another rumor that development of this historical title had been put on ice as Rockstar went on to release Red Dead Redemption 2. At the time, the whole thing didn't mean much. Developers as big as Rockstar can often have a number of totally new projects in the oven, even if most of them never leave the concept phase. Fast forward to November 2019, however, and the rumors of an open world title with a medieval setting for Rockstar have resurfaced in a somewhat believable way. It's a job description on LinkedIn that sparked things off. This time, the now edited page for Rockstar artist Paula Saxena, I have no idea how to pronounce that. Previously said that he was working on environmental design that has a focus on medieval architecture style, end quote. The jump in logic is clear to see, even if the evidence is far from conclusive. Since the LinkedIn post was discovered, a Reddit user who claims to have a reliable source says that Project Medieval is back in development. It's always a Reddit user who has a reliable source. Again, grain of salt. As it's set to be Rockstar's next game, releasing in early 2021. It'll apparently have an emphasis on sword fighting and one-on-one duels, but let's face it, anyone could concoct a post like that after hearing about the aforementioned leak on LinkedIn. Yeah, the Reddit user who's claiming this, I don't put much stock in that, especially because, as the next paragraph will go into, the only game that we know is in development right now at Rockstar is GTA 6. There's no way they're going to stealth drop a new IP from that developer. No way that's going to happen. Where it's going to be, we're going to find out like a year ahead of time about this. No. I'd say we would have officially gotten an announcement for something this big around now. Like, they would have even told us that, hey, how to put this? I feel that we would have gotten something more concrete by now if they were going to drop something in 2021. Yeah, especially if it's early 2021. That from Rockstar, we would have gotten something by now saying, hey, look, here's what we're working on alongside Grand Theft Auto 6. I highly doubt that Reddit post is accurate. So what do we think of all this? Well, the only game that's guaranteed to be in some development over at Rockstar is Grand Theft Auto 6. Frankly, you'd be mad to think otherwise, but outside of that, it's tough to say what the company could be up to. Bully 2 rumors continue to pop up every now and then, but there's never been any concrete news. Unfortunately, I still wish the Bully 2 rumors were true. Ultimately, the guesswork is just about as shaky as the latest Project Medieval rumor. What we do know is that Rockstar has been hiring for a next-gen open-world project for quite some time. Grand Theft Auto 6, Bully 2, Project Medieval. One of these options seems a lot more likely than the other two. Hint, it's the sequel to the best-selling video game of all time, but who knows? As is usually the case with Rockstar, we're just going to have to wait and see. What do you think Rockstar is working on? Would you be interested in a Rockstar title with a medieval setting? Sharpen your blade in the comments below. Now, like I said, how accurate is this rumor? I don't know. I mean, it's always it could not. I'd like to see how Rockstar would be able to kind of bring their style to a medieval setting, you know, with their, how to put it, it's the thing I love about Rockstar and their stories is they not only find a way to create good stories, I love their sort of satirical, sardonic humor of American culture. You know, because again, that's what GTA is. It's like I said, it's satire of American culture. For every game, that's pretty much been what it is. That's why it's so kind of goofy in its own right. And let's be honest, Red Dead Redemption was the same way. It was more of a satirical take on the spaghetti western. You know, the sort of like old John Wayne movies. It still has its it's sort of like period time, it's sort of period accurate, you know, weaponry and clothes and concepts, but it still finds a way to make jokes and do something serious yet funny at the same time. So I'd love to see how they could take that and play with with a medieval European style. I'd be very curious to see that. Now, whether or not it's going to happen, I don't know. I think this is just how to put it. I think this is probably a case of people seeing something that, how to put it, they're seeing something that they want to see that isn't really there. Because again, it's only somebody on somebody's LinkedIn profile. I mean, that could have been put there for a number of reasons. So do I think that they're working on Project Medieval? Probably not. I think their big focus right now is on GTA 6. I'd still love to see Bully 2, but I never think we're going to see Bully 2, sadly. But yeah, this Project Medieval, could it happen? Sure. Would I like to see it happen? Sure. Do I think it's currently in development? No. I really do not think this is true. I really don't think this rumor is going to amount to much. But that's just me. Moving on to my former favorite developer, Ubisoft. This is an article by Liam Croft on also Push Square. Actually, we got a lot of Push Square articles coming up. Ghost Recon Breakpoint investigating removal of online requirements. The always online requirement that shipped with Ghost Recon Breakpoint last month has been a thorn in the backside of many players, to the point where nearly a third of a recent Ubisoft survey contained responses requesting for its removal. Those still playing the game, that I'm curious to know how many people that is. Hell, I've not booted up that game in probably over a month. Where nearly those still playing the game who have been treated to the title's first raid for free are having their thoughts taken into consideration as part of Ubisoft's commitment to fixing and improving the experience, as a new blog post states that the team is investigating whether the requirement can be removed altogether. Well, I think that, you know, they should have tried to make it closer to Ghost Recon Wildlands instead of the Division 2, but that's my opinion. You know, take what I say with a grain of salt. Fans have been promised more news on the subject in the new year. The studio saying, due to its quote, due to its scope, the remaining top result will require more investigation. Please look forward for more information on this topic by early next year, end quote. The request is just one of many the community has asked for, which includes AI teammates, the removal of gear score, enemy AI improvements, and more story content. Ubisoft is said to have fixes and tweaks coming that will address all of these issues. However, it's clear that completely scrapping the online needs of the game poses the biggest task of all to Ubisoft. While you'll only ever see other players in the Experience Hub area when playing the single-player portion, these multiplayer-focused routes most clearly dig deeper than what meets the eye. Do always online requirements get on your nerves? Yes. Do you wish more games would remove them? Yes. Turn the internet off in the comments below. See, it's like they said, the fact that this game has that multiplayer component does dig deeper into Ghost Recon Breakpoint. And what I mean by that is that the story is so entirely focused around having, how to put it, the story's goal is not to tell a story. The story's goal in this game is to give an excuse for 4 people to play this sort of tactical game, which, I'm going to be entirely honest, I don't think is that good in the first place. I don't enjoy breaking into to guarded areas. I don't find stealth that fun. I don't find combat that fun. Wildlands was a far superior game in my opinion, which I don't get how they really did well with that one, and then just shit all over this game. It's like the story in The Division. It's there to give you a loose reason to be doing the things that just play through these maps. That's the entire point of The Division. It gives you a loose reason to play this mission. I will give The Division something that, while that is true of the narrative, the actual gameplay and level design and everything in The Division was actually really well done. But in Breakpoint, it just doesn't work. Everything. How to put this? I'm trying to think here. You can do open world shooters. It's possible. I think Far Cry 3 is an example. Hell, I think Far Cry 4 is an example. If I'm just going to stick with what Ubisoft has done. But I feel open world shooters are hard to do in a lot of ways. It's something that I've always said, that games that, as soon as they pull out the sort of set piece structure that like a Call of Duty has or something like that, that's very linear in focus, but there's these big action set pieces, so the shooting feels very cinematic, it feels very action oriented. These open world shooters, and I feel like this is a problem that a lot of open world games have when they say, well, you're free to infiltrate and do this however you want to do this. The problem is it loses that sort of cinematic weight. And again, I know this is hard to describe exactly the feeling, because I'm trying to describe a feeling that I get when I play these. How to put it? I feel like it loses that grandiose sort of feel. Again, I know I'm using very, very abstract language here, and I apologize for this, but it doesn't again, it's weight, feel, it's I don't think I can explain this any better, or at least I can't explain this any better. I think somebody else can. It feels slapped together. It seems slapped together and just not as polished. It just feels kind of crappy, is the best way I can put it. It's like they said. It's this focus. I'm sorry, I got into the weeds there. This focus on online requirements really doesn't do game service, because when you can fuse your gameplay and your storytelling and your concepts, and you can fuse everything together, that's fantastic. Breakpoint feels like a hodgepodge of half thought out ideas that were just slapped together to make a game. They stamped Ghost Recon, Tom Clancy, and everything on it, expecting it to sell, and it sucked. I haven't completely finished the game, but of what I have played, it blows. Alright, on to some more fun news. Anime RPG Fairy Tail adds yet another release date to a massive March 2020 article. Robert Ramsey of Push Square. This is a super short article, basically just announcing that, hey, we actually now have a release date for this game. I've talked about this game a few times in the channel. I'm actually excited about this. I really like Fairy Tail. I read the manga. I've watched a lot of the anime. I really do. I enjoy this series, and I am super curious to see how this game's going to play out, especially with the way that it's hitting all the right beats for me. It's an IP that I like. It's going to be turn-based. I love this idea that we're basically going to be rebuilding Magnolia and the Guild of Fairy Tail. Everything I've heard about this game, I really like the idea. I love the art style. Apparently, we are looking at an early 2020 release date. The early 2020 release dates just keep coming, adding to what is already an absolutely packed month. Koei Tecmo's Fairy Tail role-playing game is set to launch on the 19th of March. If you haven't been keeping up, Fairy Tail is a turn-based adventure that ties the popular anime and manga property. It's being developed by Gust, the studio behind the Atelier series. I can't read. And other similarly colorful RPGs. Like I said, super short article, but let's check out. This is actually a nice trailer.
12.
Already love the music. All right, so we already know that we get it popped up there. It said that apparently there's going to be playable characters from outside of Fairy Tail, because we've already known the playable cannot speak, goddammit. Playable characters include Natsu, Lucy, Erza, Wendy. We knew about those four. I believe Makarov was also thrown in there. But we're about to see characters from outside. So, you know, we got Kagura. I'm trying to remember. I don't know this character. I've probably not gotten there. Yeah, I love this guy. I remember his magic is based around smell. And as he calls it, perfumes. Oh, it's a frightening individual. Also, if I remember correctly, Sting and Rogue are light and dark dragons. Light and dark dragon slayers. Love the music. I love the words are hard. Where's my mouse? Love the music. I love the colors. There we go. Again, I love the look of it. I love the music that was shown in that trailer. I'm really liking the characters and everything. My biggest question, in all honesty, is will it have an English voice track? I'm really hoping it will. And also, if it has an English voice track, at least bring in Todd Haberkorn to voice Natsu. Because, come on, that's just the one thing that I really want. Other than that, the only other there's only one thing that I've not seen. I'm sorry, I'm trying to think how to explain this. An idea I've had for this game that I wish they would be doing, but from everything I've seen about it says that they aren't, is that you actually played as a created character. And the number of times I've said I don't like playing that like nameless voiceless protagonist. I think that they could do a created character, still give them a voice and a personality and a name and everything, but let you actually create your own mage, kind of pick from a number of classes, magic styles and whatnot, elements and what. I think that there was a way to do something cool with that and have them intertwine into the different characters from Fairy Tail. Though we do know that the game you will be playing through certain arcs of the anime and manga. So, it's one of those. I don't get something that I'd like to see, but at the same time, we're getting something else that seems really good. A game that I will say, and this is going to be like kind of like a weird callback. If you like anime, and this is like turn-based anime RPG sort of things. There was a really good one that I played on PS2. I'm trying to remember what it was. It was based on Inuyasha. It was I think it was called Inuyasha Legend of the Cursed Mask. I think that was the title. I could be getting a Zelda title in there somewhere. But basically you play as a modern day kid who gets sent back to the feudal era, similar to Kagome. And it just meets the cast. You see some modified versions of older arcs from the show, but he's got his own special, unique powers, and it was actually an interesting story in a way to do an anime sort of RPG with a player character being inserted into it, and I think they could have done that with this game. But again, I say that like, well, I already know everything about this game, but I think it could have been done. But from everything that I've been able to see, it's not being done that way. But it still looks cool to me. So I wanted to take a look at that before we closed out. Sticking with games that are coming out in March, everybody's all excited for the Final Fantasy VII remake. Personally, I take it or leave it. I don't have this massive connection to Final Fantasy VII like a lot of people do. And in all honesty, with Fairy Tail coming out in March, I'm more interested in that game because it's turn-based. If you know me, I love turn-based RPGs. That is one of my favorite genres. But apparently the Final Fantasy VII Remake 2 is now in active development. Article from Liam Croft, also of Push Square. There's another short article here. This is my favorite thing about Push Square, is that they keep their articles shorter and more concise. There's not like a lot of just useless information. It's a lot of just boom, here's the stuff you need to know. We've known for a long time now that the Final Fantasy VII Remake launching March 2020 isn't the entire game. Rather, the first third or so is taking place in Midgard. It's a hugely expanded version of the city, but we've been wondering when we'll start to hear of what's to come beyond those boundaries. It's probably still going to be a while yet, but at least we know that Final Fantasy VII Remake 2 is in active development. Without an official name from Square Enix, that's what we're dubbing the game for now. Although word comes from director Tetsuya Nomura that the team has turned its attention to the project as part of a new article focusing on some of the development leads. Nomura says, quote, "We've already begun working on the next one as well, but I'm confident that playing through the title will expand your expectations, just like the world that extends beyond Midgard," end quote. We think it's very safe to say that the title won't be launching until the PlayStation 5 has hit its stride, but surely we won't be waiting another 5 years, right? Let's pin our hopes on 2022 and allow Square Enix to let us down all over again. When you think Final Fantasy VII Remake 2 will launch, share your predictions. I mean, I think how to put it? Actually, I don't think 2022 is an out there prediction. And frankly, I think once I've said this before about companies, once they have the framework for this game, they have the engine down, they have the concepts and everything. I don't think it would take too terribly long to make a direct sequel in that same engine. So yeah, I think it's entirely possible that a sequel to the Final Fantasy VII Remake could come out in 2022. Now, do I exactly want it to happen? I want it to happen for the people who are excited about the Final Fantasy VII Remake. I am not one of those people. I'm going to play it on the channel. I'm going to, who knows? Maybe I'm going to be blown away. Maybe I'll be, whatever. And I understand that Final Fantasy VII is such a big thing for a lot of gamers, with the Aerith scene, and just there are so many moments in Final Fantasy VII that have permeated video game culture and everything. So I understand that, and I understand people's love of the game. Me personally, my favorite Final Fantasy game is 10. And I know that's a weird choice, but that was the one that got me into... Well, technically, the game that got me into Final Fantasy was Final Fantasy 12, but the game that got me to actually love Final Fantasy was Final Fantasy 10. So, that's just me. But, again, the big turnoff for me for the Final Fantasy VII Remake is the loss of turn-based mechanics. It's that you're turning it into more of an action game, which I played... was it Crisis Core? Was that set during the events of Final Fantasy VII? I think that was on the PSP. I played it. It was fine. But it was a hack and slash action game, and I'm just like, meh. And that's what I'm afraid that they're going to turn this one into. It's just, I don't want action combat. I mean, it was fine in Final Fantasy 15, I guess. I don't know. I'll try and keep judgment. How to put this? I will try and keep my pessimism down, and I will try and keep an open mind until I actually play the remake. So I'll put it that way. I'm interested in it, and I will, as I said, try and keep open-minded about it. I'll leave it there. All right, coming up, this is actually going to be our final article. I have to go run an errand I didn't realize that I had to run. Sorry about that. Trying to help out the family and whatnot. I have one more article, but you know what? I'll do a solo video later tonight, or maybe probably tomorrow, on it, because I find it interesting and I want to talk about it. But it'll be a short kind of like one-off that, like I said, we'll talk about at a later date. So sorry about this. But taking a look at this is probably going to be another short one. That apparently Microsoft wants to surprise Sony with the Xbox Scarlet. Dev kits are reportedly rare and nowhere near final. Article by Robert Ramsey. I don't have the picture set up, but I know that Samori Roden sent me this on Twitter, and I've seen pictures of the PS5 dev kit out there. Now, I mean, everybody's, oh my gosh, is this what the PS5 is going to look like? If you've seen it, it looks kind of like a box with a big chunk out of the middle of it. I don't know. I'd think that they'd make it a little sleeker looking, that they'd probably put on some actual like plates and some plates and everything on it to, have it look again like that black sleek look of the PlayStation. Because as what we've seen, it just looks weird. And if it does end up looking like that, I'll say this: at least they made it kind of small, like it's compact. I like that. I don't hate the look of it. But I've seen some people go, "Oh my gosh, it's garbage," and I'm like, "It looks fine. It's kind of weird, but it's neither here nor there." Let's actually move on to the article here. We've all seen the PlayStation 5 developer unit by now, right? The V-shaped machine has leaked a bunch of times over the last year or so, but why is it that we don't hear many reliable whispers about the dev kits for the next Xbox code named Project Scarlet? Well, according to Tom Warren, senior editor over at The Verge, it's at least partly because, quote, hardly anyone has them, end quote. When asked about Xbox Scarlet dev kits on Twitter, Warren replied, quote, hardly anyone has Xbox Scarlet dev kits, and they're nowhere near final. That's why you're hearing a lot of nonsense about them not being powerful, etc. Microsoft wants to surprise Sony this time, end quote. All right, so they want to surprise Sony, but nobody has them. I could see where that might be a I'm sorry. I'm trying to think what I'm trying to get at here. These dev kits. Maybe it's because I'm not 100%. I'm not fully up on exactly what the dev kits do and are. I'm not. I assume from what I've always assumed they were just sort of prototypes. Or here's basically the internal workings of what our console is going to be. They're prototypes, basically, is how I've always understood them to be, but I could be incorrect. If I am incorrect on that, please somebody let me know that they're given to developers so that they can work with the tech. But if they haven't finalized what the Scarlet's gonna be and given it to developers yet, so they can start working on next gen, especially now that we are a year out, I could see that backfiring hard on Microsoft. I also think that Microsoft has been doing a lot of weird decisions lately, and I'm like, really, Microsoft? You want to be so cagey and, we're trying to surprise them? Like, really? That's just a weird decision, in my opinion. Although, again, I think Microsoft has been making a lot of weird decisions, focusing more on smaller indie titles that, in my opinion, haven't been anywhere near as good as the small indie titles that we have been seeing on PlayStation. Holy shit, was Concrete Genie good. I'm really looking to Xbox. I want them to come out with those big exclusives again to fight Sony, but they don't have them. I mean, Gears 5, I thought was at the end of the game was a big letdown. We're still waiting on a new Halo. Other than that, what does Xbox have? Every time I talk about Xbox, I keep going back to their exclusives. What do they have? I mean, what they've got is Ori and the Blind Forest, I believe, is still a Microsoft exclusive. Okay. But is that going to move units like a new God of War is going to? That The Last of Us sequel is going to? That whenever Sony's going to make that Spider-Man sequel is going to? Sony's got so many IPs that they can continue on to make games with. Even, I mean, they still have Jack. They have Uncharted. I'd love to see a new Infamous game come out. They have so many IPs that are great. Microsoft has killed off most of the big ones, or on the other hand, just their ongoing ones aren't looked at the same way, or don't have the quality that they used to have. I mean, in all honesty, I don't give two craps about a new Halo game coming out, and the last Gears game really disappointed me. I don't think this is the time for Xbox to be all cagey and trying to one up Sony. I think that they should just focus on making something good. But instead, all we're ever hearing is this developer speak of talking about, the insides of the Xbox Scarlet is going to be so advanced and it does all these things. But to a layperson like myself, I'm not the most technologically inclined individual. But listening to them describe the internal workings of the Scarlet, I'm like, you could be speaking Latin to me. Show me Don't tell me. Sony has... We've seen, supposedly, things running on the PS5 and how load times are just completely just minimized and everything on it. That games run extremely well on it. So, I think we've seen a lot more out of PlayStation than we have out of Xbox, and that works to PlayStation's advantage. And then you have the fact that the PlayStation 4 is one of the best-selling consoles of all time now. I mean, it's moved into the top 5, if I'm correct, along with... doesn't Sony have, 2 or 3 consoles that are all in the top, 10 best-selling... Or I don't even think top 10, I think top 5. I think 2 or 3 of them are Sony consoles. But you're falling after Sony has just knocked this generation out of the park. They're showing stuff. It looks like Sony's going to keep on steaming ahead with great exclusives, a good unit, and everything. And again, we know nothing about Xbox. We know a lot of vague, like I said, sort of insider tech language. But beyond that, what the hell do we know about it? I'm beating around the bush. I keep going in a circle here, basically saying, Xbox, pull your head out of your ass, but it's just me. It's an interesting tweet in that it perhaps gives some perspective into Microsoft's next-gen plans. It's no secret that the company was caught out by Sony in the PlayStation 4 at the beginning of this generation. Well, it's because Microsoft tried to move on to that whole you need access keys to play your games, is similar to what you see on PC, where you couldn't just hand a game to a friend and let them borrow it. If anybody remembers that, I believe it was Shuhei Yoshida who did that whole, here's what you need to do to share a game on PlayStation 4. And he took a game box and handed it to somebody and said, and that's it. It was one of the greatest commercials of all time for them. And they kicked Microsoft square in the balls on that, with that just one little stunt. Again, that's just basically what's been happening all generation, in my opinion, with PlayStation. The Japanese giant blindsided the competition with a surprise PlayStation meeting in early 2013, and from that point, it was basically body blow after body blow against Xbox until the two consoles hit the market. And again, it's not the fact that they surprised them in 2013 that beat the crap out of Xbox. It was the fact that Microsoft made a... How to put this? I know a lot of people who like the Xbox better than PlayStation. I know a lot of people, but a lot of those people seem to use the Xbox as a multimedia tool. They play DVDs on it. They literally run their cable through it. They like that so much better. I like my PlayStation more as just a pure thing to play video games on. I think the controller's better. I think the UI of the actual PlayStation's better. I like trophies better than achievements. I just love the ease of use of the PlayStation. The Xbox has got so many goddamn windows and windows within windows, and it's so complicated to use, in my opinion. It's just annoying. I also like the fact that I can put my PlayStation into rest mode and pick up my game exactly where I left off, while when I turn my Xbox off, it goes completely off, and I've got to go back in through the opening menu and in through the opening menus of the game, and it's just a pain in the ass to get there. I think the Xbox lost to PlayStation in design, in marketing ahead of time. It was not just the fact that the PlayStation surprised everyone. No, PlayStation hit one out of the park in this generation. That's what it was. And if Xbox thinks it's because they got surprised is why Sony beat the crap out of them, then they're sorely mistaken. I'm reading something into a tweet that might not mean. Into a tweet that might not mean what I'm implying it to mean here, but you get what I'm saying. Of course, the other spin on this is that Sony may already be ahead of its rival. Sources say that the PS5 dev kits are now widespread and have been for months. If Microsoft is still trying to nail down the ins and outs of the next-gen console, then Sony could have an early advantage. I agree with that. In any case, the next several months have the potential to be pretty juicy. Obviously, 2020 is going to be a very exciting year for gaming as a whole, but we're now getting to the point where the next-gen leaks and rumors are going to be rampant. I don't really think I have anything much else to add here, but I think if Sony keeps this up, they're looking at another generation where they are just going to beat the shit out of everyone. But yeah, guys, that's about all I got for you this week. Well, I mean, like I said, I've still got one other article, but because I have to go do something, I have just run out of time, and that will be added in a later video. So please stay tuned for that. I want to say, as always, thank you so much for watching, guys. Facebook, Twitter, the website, minds.com. Links, all that stuff is down in the description below, along with the BitChute link if you're watching on YouTube. If you're watching over on BitChute, all the social media links are in the About section of the channel. I want to say thank you so much for watching, everybody. Please remember to like, comment. If you're not already, please subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for more next time. But until then, my name's AJ Gels. This is the Untitled Gaming Channel. I'm out.